By the Federal Reserve's most recent measure, the net worth of the typical American household just posted its largest jump in 4 decades. By the headlines, the average person is doing better than ever. So let's build that average household. The median income, the average savings rate, the savings the typical person actually has, and follow the money to the day the paychecks stop. It runs out, and here's the part that should bother you. You can be better than average on every one of those numbers and still run out. Being above average was never the goal. It just felt like it. I know how that sounds. Let me earn it. Before we go further, one rule for this video. We are not going to cherry pick a person who is struggling. We are going to do the opposite. We are going to assemble a person from the exact middle of every official number in the country. The Census Bureau, the Federal Reserve, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the Social Security Administration. And we are going to be generous to him at every step, where the data leaves any room for judgment. Call him Ryan. Ryan is not poor. Ryan is not reckless. Ryan is assembled from the middle of every official statistic in the country, and by almost every measure you will ever read in a headline, Ryan is doing fine. The question is narrow, and it is the only one that matters. If you follow Ryan's money from his next paycheck to his last one, does the average actually make it? Let me walk the numbers, one at a time, and you can watch the picture assemble. Start with what Ryan earns. The median household income in the United States in the most recent census figures is about $83,700 a year. That is the middle of the country. Half of households earn more, half earn less. So it is exactly where Ryan sits. It is not a small number. In real terms, it is more than the median household earned a decade ago. By the only comparison most people ever make, am I keeping up? Ryan is keeping up. But Ryan does not get to spend $83,000 because the government is paid first. Between federal income tax, the payroll taxes for Social Security and Medicare, and a typical state tax, a household at Ryan's income keeps roughly 82 cents of every dollar. We are being deliberately gentle here. Plenty of households keep less. That leaves Ryan with something close to $68,000 to actually live on. Hold that number. Everything that follows comes out of it. Now the money leaves. The Bureau of Labor Statistics tracks where it goes, and for a household at Ryan's income, the pattern is remarkably consistent. Housing takes the largest share, about a third of everything he spends. Transportation takes the next largest, roughly a sixth. Food takes another eighth. A roof, a car, and meals. Those three categories alone consume close to 60 cents of every dollar, before Ryan has paid for anything else. No insurance yet, no health care, no childcare, no phone, no clothing, nothing set aside for an emergency, and nothing at all for enjoyment. When you add the rest of an ordinary life on top of those three, a household at Ryan's income spends very nearly everything it brings home. This is the first uncomfortable fact. And it is not a moral failing, it is arithmetic. The average household is not hemorrhaging money on yachts and sports cars. It is spending an ordinary amount on ordinary things, and the ordinary amount happens to consume almost the entire paycheck. What is left over, the part that quietly becomes wealth, is a sliver. So how big is the sliver? The government measures that too. The personal saving rate, the share of after-tax income that households actually keep, has been running at around 4.5%. A few years ago, it was higher. It has been drifting down, not up, even as incomes rose. 4.5% of Ryan's take-home pay comes to about $3,000 a year. $3,000 to fund every goal he has that is not this month's bills. The emergency fund, the next car, the roof when it leaks, a child's education, and somewhere at the very back of that line, retirement. Now hold that against the advice. Financial professionals generally tell you to save 10 to 15% of your income for retirement alone, before any of those other goals. Ryan is saving 4.5% for all of them combined. That gap between the rate that is recommended and the rate that is actually lived is the quiet engine of this entire video. Remember it. We are going to come back at the end and move it. And for many households, the sliver is smaller still because money is flowing the other way at the same time. A little under half of American households carry a balance on their credit cards from month to month. For the households that do, the balance runs around $8,000 at an interest rate that, in the most recent data, sits above 21%. Set that number beside the last one. The stock market, over the long run, has returned something in the high single digits per year. The credit card charges more than 21. So when a household invests a little while carrying a card balance, it is in effect borrowing at 21% in order to lend at 8. That is not a strategy. It is a slow leak. For these households, some of the investing they believe they are doing is an illusion. The card is pulling money out faster than the market can put it in. Ryan, being exactly average, sits right on the edge of this. We will be kind and assume his leak is small, but it is worth seeing the mechanism plainly, because it is one more reason the sliver stays a sliver. Now, none of this would actually worry Ryan, and here is why. If Ryan ever stops to check whether he is on track, he will reach for the number everyone reaches for: net worth compared to his age. And by that yardstick, Ryan looks fine at every step of his life. The Federal Reserve publishes the median net worth for each age group. Under 35, the typical household is worth about $39,000. By the late 30s and early 40s, that rises to about $135,000. By the early 50s, about $247,000. And by the early 60s, the doorstep of retirement, the median household net worth is roughly $364,000. So picture Ryan checking in across the decades. At 40, he glances at the figure for his age, and he is right around it, maybe even a touch above. At 50, same thing. At 60, he is sitting near $360,000 in net worth, precisely where the average person his age is supposed to be. Every single checkpoint tells him the same reassuring thing. You are on track, you are at the median, you are, if anything, a little ahead. This is the trap, and it is about to spring because that $360,000 number is hiding something. Here is what it is hiding. Net worth counts everything Ryan owns, minus everything he owes. And for the typical household, the overwhelming majority of that net worth is not money. It is the house. It is home equity, the part of the home he has paid down over the years. It is real, and it is valuable. But you cannot spend your kitchen in retirement, and you still have to live somewhere. So strip the house out and ask the narrower question, the only one that matters when the paychecks stop. How much does the typical household actually hold in retirement accounts? In the 401k, in the IRA, the money that is specifically supposed to generate income in retirement, the Federal Reserve has that figure too. For households that have any retirement account at all, the median balance nationwide is about $87,000. For households right at the edge of retirement in their late 50s and early 60s, the median climbs to roughly $185,000. By the late 60s, about $200,000, and that is only counting the households that have a retirement account in the first place. About 1 in 4 American households has nothing in one at all, so that reassuring $360,000 net worth, the one that told Ryan he was on track at every checkpoint, quietly resolves into something far smaller once you ask the retirement question honestly. Roughly $200,000 in actual spendable retirement savings. That is the number Ryan carries to age 65. Now, let's find out what it buys. This is the moment the whole video was built for, so we are going to do it slowly, and we are going to do it fairly. Ryan is 65. He has the median household's retirement savings, $200,000. The standard time-tested rule for turning a nest egg into income without running out of money is to withdraw about 4% of it in the first year. 4% of $200,000 is $8,000 a year. $8,000. That is what a lifetime of being exactly average produces per year from his own savings, about $660 a month. Ryan, of course, is not leaning on that alone. He has Social Security. The average Social Security retirement benefit, in the most recent figures, is about $2,000 a month, roughly $24,000 a year. So we add it in. $8,000 from a lifetime of his own saving, $24,000 from Social Security. Ryan's total retirement income, living the exactly average life, is about $32,000 a year. Now, what does he need? Here is where we are going to be as generous to Ryan as the data will possibly allow. We will assume that in retirement, Ryan spends less than he did while working. The standard planning assumption is about 80%. We will assume on top of that his mortgage is completely paid off, and we will cut his housing cost accordingly. Stack every one of those breaks in his favor, and Ryan's retirement spending still lands somewhere around $45,000 a year. And that is the gentle version. $32,000 coming in, $45,000 going out. Every year, Ryan is about $13,000 short. Not for 1 year, every year for the rest of his life. And now look at what is actually holding him up. Of that $32,000 of retirement income, $24,000 of it, 3/4, is Social Security. The $200,000 he spent 40 years accumulating is generating $8,000. It is covering less than a fifth of what he spends. So here is the honest, uncomfortable conclusion. The average American does not really have a retirement funded by a lifetime of saving. The average American has Social Security with a small savings cushion on top that runs out faster than he ever expected. The retirement of the median household is, mathematically, a Social Security retirement. Now, you have been listening carefully and there is a fair objection forming. You are thinking, fine, but I am not average. I earn more than that. I save more than that. Good. Let's test it. Let's hand a household 25% more income than the median, and let's have them save 7%. Not 4.5, a full 7, comfortably above the national rate. Run the same 40 years, the same market, the same fair assumptions all the way through. They retire with about $400,000, double the median. They draw it down at the same safe rate. They add the same Social Security, and they still come up short by nearly $13,000 a year. Read that again because it is the whole point. You can earn more than the average household. You can save more than the average household. You can beat the average American on every single line on the page and still not arrive. Above average was never the goal. It just felt like one because the average is the only thing anyone ever held up for you to measure against. The average is not a passing grade. The average is a warning. So if income is not the lever, and we just watched 25% more income fail, then what is? Go back to the original Ryan, the median income. Change nothing about his life except one number, not his job, not his salary, not his stock picks. He does not have any. He just buys the whole market and leaves it alone. Not his luck, not the market's returns. One number, the share of his own pay he sets aside before he spends the rest. Move it from 4.5% to 15%. 15% of Ryan's take-home pay is about $10,000 a year instead of $3,000. Same income. He simply sends more of it forward and less of it past. Run the identical 40 years at the very same ordinary market return we have used the whole way through. Ryan retires not with $200,000, but with roughly $680,000. Apply the same 4% withdrawal, add the same Social Security, and Ryan's retirement income is now north of $50,000 a year, more than he needs. For the first time in this entire video, the average person arrives. Same paycheck, same market. One lever. Let me be precise about what this does and does not say, because the honest version is stronger than the convenient one. It does not say income is irrelevant. A higher income makes the same rate easier to reach. It does not say 15% is a magic number. 10% gets close, and the right figure depends on how early you start. What it says is narrow, and it is verified. The single most powerful variable separating the average outcome from an adequate one is not how much Ryan earns, and it is not what he invests in, and it is not whether the market has a good decade. It is the fraction of his own paycheck he keeps. That is the lever. It is very nearly the only one that matters, and it is the one sitting entirely inside his own hands. And the reason it is so hard to see is that nothing in ordinary life ever shows it to you. Your paycheck shows you your income. The headlines show you the average. Your net worth, next to your age, tells you that you are on track, right up until the day you are not. Not one of those numbers ever shows you the one that actually decides the outcome, so you have to go and find it yourself. Let me leave you with the shape of the whole thing, because it is simple enough to carry with you. We built a man from the exact middle of every official number in the country. We were generous to him at every turn. We gave him the median income, the median savings, a paid-off house, lower spending in retirement, and a fair and steady market. And we followed his money all the way to the end. And it ran out because the average path was never built to arrive. Then we discovered that simply beating the average did not save him either. And then we changed one number, the share of his pay he kept, and the same man on the same income made it. Being above average is not the goal. Being above average just means you are failing a little more slowly than the person standing next to you. The goal is to know your own numbers, your real spending, your real rate, your real trajectory, and to move the one lever that actually decides where you land. The average will never show it to you. You have to run it yourself. If you want the tools we use to run numbers like these, to find your own rate, your own trajectory, the distance between where the average ends and where you actually need to be, they live in the member vault, and you are welcome to them. The link is below. That is the math. Now you have seen it. The only question left is what you do with the one number you control.